Stop scrolling, because the courtroom just turned into a circus, and T.I.'s own son might have just destroyed the entire Harris empire on camera. What if I told you the biggest scandal of the year didn't come from Hollywood or politics, but from inside T.I.'s own family? And yes, the cameras caught everything. King Harris just pointed his finger at his father in court, and that one moment might be the beginning of the end for an empire decades in the making. Stop right here. Whatever you're doing, pause, because the courtroom just turned into a full-blown circus, and King Harris is standing right in the middle of it. Picture this: leaked footage exploding across screens faster than a trending TikTok. Stacks of cash, guns sliding across tables, shady deals unfolding like a bad movie script. But this isn't fiction, it's real, raw, and unfolding in front of the world. And here's the part everyone's debating: was King simply cracking under the weight of pressure? Or did he just drag his father, T.I., into a storm big enough to swallow the empire he spent decades building? The cameras caught every second of it, pointing fingers, shouting voices, and desperate denials bouncing off the courtroom walls. It didn't feel like a legal proceeding. It felt like the set of a crime documentary unfolding in real time. Reporters scribbled frantically, cameras zoomed in on every flinch, and the tension was so thick you could almost see it hanging in the air. By the time the judge raised the gavel and slammed it down in an attempt to restore order, the moment had already slipped out of his control. The damage was done, and the chaos had taken on a life of its own. It didn't take long for the outside world to catch fire. Within minutes, social media lit up like a sky full of fireworks. TikTok edits of King pointing across the courtroom looped endlessly, paired with dramatic music and flashing captions. Twitter became a battlefield of threads, each one dissecting gestures, whispers, and side glances as though they were secret codes. On YouTube, commentary channels uploaded emergency breakdowns before the court session had even adjourned, drawing in millions of views from fans desperate to keep up. But behind the memes, jokes, and hot takes, there was something darker brewing. The leaks that slipped out during the trial hinted at secrets far bigger than one family dispute. Whispers spread that what had been exposed in court could shake the Harris family to its foundation, threatening not only their reputation, but also the empire they had built over decades. The internet did what it always does. It turned speculation into fuel. Every clip became evidence. Every pause or side glance was spun into a theory. One viral post claimed the shouting in court wasn't just emotional, it was strategic, meant to deflect attention from something deeper. Another thread suggested that outside investigators were already circling, using the trial as a window into the Harris network. As the frenzy grew, the family found themselves at the center of a storm they couldn't control. T.I., once celebrated as a cultural giant and industry mogul, now appeared cornered. Headlines plastered his face alongside words like betrayal, collapse, and exposed. Meanwhile, King, the son who was supposed to carry the torch into a new generation, became a polarizing figure. Some hailed him as brave for speaking out, others branded him reckless, accusing him of tearing down his own bloodline. Even Tiny, who had long stood by her husband, was dragged into the whirlwind. Rumors claimed she broke down multiple times in private, torn between supporting her husband and defending her son. Her silence in public only fueled speculation, leaving fans to debate whether she was quietly plotting her next move or simply crushed under the weight of the spectacle. The more people talked, the bigger the story became. Anonymous insiders began hinting at federal probes, suggesting that the chaos inside the courtroom might have opened doors to long-forgotten cases tied to T.I.'s past. Blogs ran wild with talk of frozen accounts, resignations, and deals collapsing behind closed doors. Even though none of it was confirmed, the internet didn't wait. It never does. Speculation became the narrative, and the narrative became the truth. By the time the week ended, the Harris saga was no longer just a legal story. It had morphed into a cultural phenomenon. TikTok edits racked up millions of views. Reddit exploded with conspiracy threads, some claiming rival moguls orchestrated the entire meltdown. YouTube channels ran countdowns for the next leak, while Instagram flooded with memes declaring the empire finished. And yet, beneath the noise, one question kept resurfacing: was this really just a family meltdown gone viral, or was it the unraveling of something much bigger? Had King exposed cracks that had always been there, or was this chaos manufactured to take the Harris name down once and for all? One thing was certain: the cameras had captured more than just a courtroom fight. They had captured the unraveling of a dynasty in real time. And as the world watched, dissected, and debated, The Harris family saga transformed into a story that felt less like gossip and more like history in the making. Let's rewind. King Harris isn't new to controversy. He's been a headline magnet for years: fights at Waffle House, reckless rants online, flashy videos with guns on display. Warning signs were everywhere, but no one imagined it would explode into a scandal of this scale. The leaked video itself looked like something pulled straight from an FBI file, grainy, uncut, and brutal. Cash counted like play money, duffel bags full of weapons, and whispered deals that sounded more like mob talk than music chatter. Then came the meltdown, King snapping, shouting, blaming, denying, and in the same breath pointing the finger at his own father. And T.I.? He sat stone-faced. Decades of rebuilding his reputation, distancing himself from street chaos, and now his own son was undoing it in seconds. The betrayal wasn't quiet. It was public, viral, and replayed on every screen around the globe. What made it worse? King's words. At one point, he leaned in, muttered, "It's all him, not me," and the courtroom froze. That single line flipped the entire story. Overnight, headlines screamed, "King Harris snitches in court, T.I. pulled back into scandal." Tiny broke down in tears. Family members watched helplessly. Even King's baby mama stirred the pot with a cryptic Instagram story that fans dissected like it was gospel. Meanwhile, leaked documents and financial records surfaced, bank transfers, texts, even call logs that tied suspicious activity back to networks people thought T.I. had left in the past. Suddenly, history wasn't buried. It was alive and flashing across social feeds. Outside, the courthouse turned into a spectacle. Helicopters circled overhead. Fans and protesters held signs and chanted hashtags like #KingSnitch and #HarrisEmpireExposed. And the internet? Once it latched on, it didn't let go. Every clip, every frame, every whispered word was analyzed, memed, and debated. Some said King's meltdown was panic. Others swore it was strategy, his way of shifting blame and rewriting the narrative before prosecutors could. Whichever version you believe, the result is the same. A legacy that took decades to build now hangs by a thread. This isn't just courtroom drama, it's the opening act of a saga that could redefine the Harris family forever. The gavel slams, pens scratch across notepads, and cameras flash. But one question refuses to fade. How deep does this go, and what's still hiding in the shadows? Buckle up, because this meltdown is far from over. The empire is trembling, and the world is glued to every second. Part 1 showed us King Harris losing control, dragging his father, T.I., into the chaos and turning a courtroom into the wildest media storm of the year. But Part 2? This is where the scandal shifts gears. Now we're talking documents, leaks, whispers, and receipts that paint a picture too messy for even Hollywood writers to dream up. According to insiders, the clips we've seen aren't random at all. They claim this footage was collected over months, maybe years, watching King's every move, tracking his circle, and studying his lifestyle. And the whispers don't stop there. Allegedly, what's coming isn't just more video. Think invoices, wire transfers, text messages, bank records. The kind of evidence that suggests King's flashy life wasn't paid for by music money, but by deals no one wanted in the daylight. The receipts alone tell a story. Exotic cars, jewelry, VIP club memberships, private jets. Investigators say King wasn't just spending, he was making a statement: "I'm untouchable." And fans online had been noticing for months, documenting every flex, every post, every subtle sign that something shady might be fueling the Harris empire. Then comes the twist. Some blogs and anonymous sources argue that King wasn't acting alone. They suggest bigger players were pulling strings, with ties reaching back to T.I.'s old world, a world of federal investigations, whispered gun deals, and associates whose names still spark fear. Social media, of course, went nuclear. TikTok edits turned courtroom clips into viral content, complete with slow-motion replays of King pointing straight at T.I. One video racked up 5 million views in a single day with the caption, "When your dad's empire becomes your downfall." Twitter threads exploded. Hashtags like #KingMeltdown, #TI-Exposed, and #HarrisEmpire shot to the top worldwide. Fans split into camps. Some praised King as a whistleblower. Others condemned him as the ultimate betrayer. Meanwhile, supposed court insiders leaked even more: text exchanges between King and unnamed contacts, phone records stamped with suspicious timing, and transfers suggesting hidden financial trails. Suddenly, this wasn't just about one kid losing control. It looked like an entire network was under the microscope. For the first time, T.I.'s calm broke. Reports claim he clenched his fists, whispered to his lawyers, and muttered, "They're not after him. They're after me." That moment alone fueled endless memes, side-by-side shots of T.I. in his prime versus T.I. in court, staring down the possibility that everything he built could collapse overnight. Then came the leaked audio. If it's real, it's devastating. During a recess, King allegedly whispered to a friend, "It wasn't me. It's all Pops. Every move, every bag, every drop, it's him." That single line spread like wildfire, dissected across TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter until it became the headline itself. T.I. exposed by his own son. Documents, real or fabricated, added even more fuel. Wire transfers to shell companies. Overseas transactions. Deposits too big to ignore. Experts began speculating that audits, asset freezes, and even federal probes could be next. The internet didn't care if it was confirmed or a rumor. By now, the spectacle had taken over. Celebrities and influencers piled on. One pop star tweeted, "King Harris is either a hero or a villain, and I'm here for it." A comedian joked, "T.I. in court looking like he's starring in a suspense film." YouTube lit up with clickbait titles, "King Harris destroys his dad in court, and the empire is crumbling." Millions watched, millions commented, and everyone picked a side, Team King or Team T.I. And behind the noise, more leaks surfaced. Alleged investigative notes claimed King's associates were under surveillance for months, with activity pointing directly to T.I.'s past. Suddenly, the Harris family wasn't just caught in a scandal, it was being dissected as a case study in empire, power, and collapse. Inside the home, insiders say emotions hit a breaking point. Tiny reportedly broke down in tears, torn between her husband and her son. Relatives begged King to stop talking, but the damage was already irreversible. Once the footage hit the internet, there was no pulling it back. Then came the conspiracy theories. Was the leak timed on purpose? Was King being used as a pawn in a bigger game? Some say rival moguls. Others point to government hands. Theories spread like wildfire, and suddenly, this wasn't just a family drama, it was a high-stakes battle playing out in real time. By now, the meltdown has evolved into something bigger than King or T.I. It's a full-blown viral saga, re-edited, remixed, and replayed on every platform with captions like, "One duffel bag at a time, King Harris exposes the empire." And the scary part? This is only the beginning. Twitter broke it down frame by frame. Every word, every glance, every flinch from that courtroom became content. Instagram Reels looped the chaos with dramatic music. Suddenly, the entire internet wasn't just watching, it was judging. And the verdict? A mix of suspense, speculation, and pure entertainment. The moment that sent everything spiraling came when King, after pointing at T.I. again and again, leaned toward his legal team and whispered, "It's all him. Every deal, every drop, every bag, it's him." That one line, caught by microphones, detonated across social media. Headlines screamed betrayal. Fans argued morality. Memes popped up by the minute. And just like that, decades of T.I.'s carefully built empire suddenly looked like it could crumble overnight. That's where Part 2 left us, on the edge of something bigger. The leaks, the conspiracy theories, the viral storm, they weren't ending. They were accelerating. And Part 3? That's where fallout and consequences start to take shape. By the time the gavel slammed for the last time, the drama had already escaped the courtroom. Social media became a battlefield. Hashtags like #KingExposed, #T.I. Under Fire, and #HarrisEmpireChaos dominated every feed. TikTok edits hit millions of views within hours. Twitter debates spiraled nonstop. YouTubers uploaded breakdowns faster than court reporters could type. And with the spectacle came whispers of something darker, real legal consequences. Anonymous insiders claimed prosecutors were already drafting subpoenas. Others hinted that old federal cases tied to T.I.'s past could be reopened. What started as a meltdown was now looking like the perfect excuse to re-examine his entire empire. Headlines speculated about indictments, frozen assets, and multi-million-dollar investigations. The public devoured every theory like it was the final episode of a Netflix thriller. Fans split into two camps. #Team King, calling him brave for exposing the truth. #Team T.I., condemning him as a traitor who sold out his father. Meanwhile, the memes kept rolling. Screenshots of King pointing at his dad with captions like "Next Gen Chaos" spread everywhere. Photos of T.I., looking tired and defeated, were paired with bold text, "Legacy crumbles." Even late-night comedians joined in, turning the family's collapse into punchlines. Pressure mounted daily. Fake transcripts surfaced, claiming King had handed prosecutors evidence of secret accounts and hidden deals. TikTok flooded with edits titled, "King just blew the lid off the empire." YouTube uploaded hour-long exposés. Twitter compiled evidence boards like amateur detectives. Whether any of it was true almost didn't matter anymore. The spectacle itself had taken over. And with every new rumor, one truth became impossible to ignore. The Harris family wasn't just in the middle of the scandal. They were trapped in a storm that could take down everything they had ever built. Even the mainstream press couldn't stay away from the chaos. News outlets ran with eye-catching headlines, though most added disclaimers reminding readers that many of the claims had never been confirmed. Still, whispers of what could come next spread quickly. Some insiders talked about possible resignations within T.I.'s inner circle, government agencies circling for investigations, and even big-name business partners reconsidering their ties. The idea that King Harris's outburst could spark a chain reaction, shaking music deals, endorsements, and long-standing corporate partnerships, was irresistible fuel for online chatter. Fans and critics alike debated whether this empire, once thought untouchable, was finally crumbling under its own weight. Behind the cameras, the Harris household reportedly descended into turmoil. Sources claimed T.I. spent countless hours with his legal team trying to patch the leaks, while Tiny's emotional struggles became gossip fodder themselves. Sympathy poured in from some corners, but others questioned her silence and choices. And King? He became the internet's tragic centerpiece, a reckless yet magnetic figure torn between exposing truths and protecting his family. Then came the twist that left everyone reeling. Alleged court insiders hinted at the existence of even more damaging footage, files that could widen the scandal far beyond the Harris family. The internet erupted again. TikTok captions promised that the next leak would be bigger than anything yet. YouTube creators uploaded countdowns and theories, some even fabricating previews, feeding a hunger that seemed impossible to satisfy. At this point, the Harris saga wasn't just a scandal, it was a cultural storm. Every tweet, every reel, every meme was pulled apart and analyzed as though the world's biggest secret was hidden in plain sight. Conspiracy theories bloomed. Was King being manipulated by industry rivals? Were government hands involved? Or was this simply a family crisis magnified by the merciless lens of the internet? The story had outgrown the courtroom. It was now about legacy, power, and the fragile balance between the two. And as part 3 closed, one truth remained clear. The empire that once stood as a monument to music and dominance now trembled on a razor's edge. T.I.'s reputation, King's future, and the family's stability were all hanging by a thread. So here's the question, and it's yours to answer. Is King Harris a brave son revealing long-hidden truths, or is he just a reckless player in a game too big for him to handle? Did T.I. build an empire on shadows, or is this all smoke and mirrors, exaggerated by the frenzy of social media? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this isn't just celebrity gossip. It's a real-time saga of betrayal, ambition, and power. Every click, every meme, every hot take keeps the fire alive. Are you with hashtag Team King, believing in the son who broke the silence, or hashtag Team T.I., defending the father whose empire is under siege? And remember, this story isn't finished. Rumors of more leaks and bigger revelations are already swirling. If you thought parts 1, 2, and 3 were explosive, just wait. The Harris family saga has only begun, and you don't want to miss the next chapter. Stay alert, stay skeptical, and buckle in. Because every empire has cracks, and sometimes, all it takes is one viral moment to bring it crashing down. Welcome to the front row of chaos. Welcome to Gossip's Vibe.